Hello, welcome to all of you. Today we are going to understand ER diagram and how the ER diagram is converted into database schema. For this, we have taken a small case study that will be helpful to you. So let us start. What is an ER diagram? An entity relationship model or ER model describes interrelated things. That means all the things which are interrelated. Like if we are taking example of car, then its engine will be interrelated with the car. So further we go, a specific domain of knowledge. A basic ER model is composed of entity types which classify the things of interest and specifies relationship that can exist between entities. So let's see what an entity is. So anything that exists in the real world physically or logically that can be called an entity. Around yourself, there might be many physical things. So all the physical things that are around you, you can touch and see. For example, your mobile phones, laptop, computer, all that. So these are the physical things and logical things which you cannot touch and see because the exact shape and size color of all logical things does not exist. For example, employee. So employee is nothing but a person, any person who works somewhere under any company, right? So employee will have some attribute defined with it. So how we can call somebody an employee? So employee might be working with some company name, right? We'll have designation, location, salary, department, etc. So car. Car is also a physical entity. It has different parts and every part has some specification. So when all these parts combine all together, then it becomes a car. Bike, same thing, same case, same scenario, and temperature. So these temperature, pollution, coordinate, these are the logical entity because the exact shape and size of all these things does not exist. These are based on some fact and figure. So let us try to understand using a case study. Suppose there is a business owner whose company name is Escon Info Systems. The company has many employees working in the different departments. Each employee is assigned some task to complete in expected time. The company wants to track the work done by each employee and make decision on basis of the report. So let us try to read it little bit slowly. What is the name of the company? The name of the company is Escon Info Systems. So who work in the company? Employees work in the company. Employee are associated with some of the department. At least there will be one department mapped with each employee. That means every employee might be working in at least one department, right? And company has some task to complete. So these tasks will be assigned to employee to complete. So on the basis of this, some further decisions can be made. So let us see the ER diagram that we have over here. Escon Info System has department. So Escon Info System has department. That means company can have more than one departments like IT, HR, sales, admin, right? Marketing. There can be number of departments. So the relationship between company and department will be one to many. Likewise, employee hire employees, right? So company hire employees. So company can have more than one employee. So the relationship between company and employees will be one to many also. Now if we see over here, employee work in department. So every employee might be working in any of the department, right? So I am putting this over here for you and answer this in the question. Answer this question in the chat. What is the relationship between employee and departments? Next, we see company assign some task to every employee, right? So these tasks will be done and accomplished by every employee. So these are the basic things. Now let us think what tables we need to create. First of all, we need to create a database Escon Info Systems. This will have how many tables? First, we will have department table, task table, and further employee hires departments. So there will be employee table. And now we see there will be some relationship between task and employee. So there might be some other table, employee and task. To understand the things clear, we are using SQL Server 2019 for the demonstration purpose. So in this way, we will be converting this ER diagram into table. So SQL MS SQL is a relational database management software that we are using for the demonstration purpose. So here we will create a database first of all. So we will create database. Database name is Escon Info Systems. And if we run it, so that database will be created. Now we will use Escon Info Systems. So we can use. Now here it is automatically selected. So now let us decide how many tables to be created, right? How many tables need to create, right? So first table we will be creating. Let us see in our ER diagram. First table we will create department. So this is the first table. We will create department. Second table we will create, that is task, because company will have some task. And third, company has employees. So the third table will be employee table. And the fourth table, that is very important table, we can see over here, employee and task. That means employee task. What task is assigned to which employee, right? So fourth table, we will create employee task. You can give it any name, employee task, but that should be meaningful. So we are going to create the first table, that is department table. So create table department. Now we are assuming department ID as INT, and this I am taking identity 1 comma 1. That means department ID will be auto generated. This will start from 1. The ID of the first department will be 1. The ID of department will be incremented by 1. So other department name will be 2 and so on. So likewise, I take another 2 department name. So this one I'm taking and varchar 50. Hence, let us run this query and see the result. So select and execute. So let us verify whether this table is created or not. So I'm taking another window for this. Select asterisk from department table, and here we can see this department table is created, but there is no record inside this. So what we will do, we will insert some department names. Insert into Table name is department and what column need to be passed? Department name. Because ID is auto generated, so we don't need to supply it. Values and some department name. We can give IT. Similarly, we can create other departments, right? So let us take it as HR and sales. Next is marketing. So these are the departments that we are going to create, right? So let us execute, select and execute. Here you will see this has given one row affected. So one row affected, that means for every insert query, it will give one row affected. So let us see the result in our query. Select asterisk from department. Here, this result is coming. Now, what second table need to be create? Task table, right? So we need to create another table. Create table, table name, and this. So here we will take a task ID. There will be ID for every task. There should be unique ID to identify, right? The task ID that I'm taking int and let us take it identity 1 comma 1. So I'm taking this also as auto generated task ID and this will start from 1 and for every task that will be increment of 1. That means task ID 1, 2, 3 for every other task. So task name nvarchar 50. So this is very small table we are creating and there can be number of attributes in every table. It depends on the requirement. What is the requirement? How the analysis has been done. It depends. So we are just making some small assumptions over here. Now we will insert record in this. Insert into table name that is task, right? So task and what is column task name values like some task I need to create meet the AI team and submit report. Submit report. This is one task. Let us say we have some other task as well. So like we have other task, right? Create salary slip for all employees. This is one task. Third task, maintain relationship with the clients and submit report at the end of each month. This is one task, right? Let us take another task. Find new technology. Find new technology articles and try to implement at least one in the month. So these are the basic tasks we are assuming. So let us run. So see something happened. So task name. Oh, what happened? So maintain relationship with client. Let us find new technology articles. I'm just shortening each. So we can see how many records are there. Just see, select a strict from this. We can see there are two records. Let me truncate this table. Truncate table. This table I'm truncating. Now we will run it again. This happened because the length is 50, right? So that should not exceed. So depends on our requirement, correct? So this table is created as of now. Now what is another table we have? Another table is employee table, right? So we will create a table employee, right? So we will create another table, create table, table name employee, and this is the, here we are taking MPID as int, and this we are also taking identity 1 comma 1. That means we are assuming that employee ID will start from 1 and it will be incremented for every employee, like employee ID 1 2 3 and so on. Name nvarchar 50, location nvarchar, that is 50, and salary, right? So here we are taking this. So that is another important thing. Employee is working in some department. So we are assuming that we have some department ID, right? So department ID. I have not implemented any kind of relationship between these keys like primary key constraint or foreign key constraint. We are just assuming that employee works in particular department, and for that department ID we will supply some valid department ID. That is, so this table we are creating employee, right? So in the employee table, let us see this table, select a strict from this. So we can see now we will insert the record in the employee table, right? So we will write insert into, what is the table name, employee, and what is name, right? Another thing, what columns we are required, name, location, and salary, and department ID. Department ID column should match values. So like I'm giving some employee name is Rama, location is Barabanki, and salary is something like 9,000. Department ID is 1. So department ID 1 means this employee will be working in IT department, correct? So let us make some insert statement. So I'm giving like some other Jane, Lucknow, some salary 7,000, department I'm giving at HR. Again I am taking Ajay, it is also from Barabanki. So suppose I'm taking this one, Department ID is sales, and let's take another employee, right? Sale and location. Suppose I give it Agra and some salary. I'm assuming like this and HR department, marketing. So we will insert this record, one row affected for every insert statement. So here we have these three tables as of now. See, yes. Now the important thing comes when we will have this employee is assigned some task, right? So this table need to be created. So we will create employee task table. So here we are creating create table employee task. You can give it a some meaningful name. So I am taking a task ID. So int this also I'm taking as identity 1 comma 1 here, right? And to whom this task is assigned. That means which employee. So we will use empid. Again, I am saying I have not implemented any kind of key constraint, just assuming that employee ID is there. So employee ID, that is int. And so this task, this is the task ID and this is the employee ID, right? So task ID means this one, right? Which task ID is assigned and there is. So let me do one thing. Let me create one table for this. I mean not table, one attribute MP task ID. MP task ID. So this will be unique for this table as well. MP task ID and this task ID will refer to this task ID. This refers to task table and this refers to employee table, right? And we can give what is the assign date. Assign date. So we are taking date time and in default we are giving some default date, that is get date. So here we have taken. Next status, task status. We are assuming task status, right? Task status and varchar, like I'm taking 50. It depends on requirement and completion date. Completion date. So that is date time I'm taking. So these are the columns we are taking over here, and these are just based on assumption. Let us try to understand what these columns are. So this implied task ID, this is the unique ID for this table, and I have taken it as identity and the data type is integer. So this task ID will be unique, and this task ID, every employee will be working for some tasks. So that means task ID. It refers to task table, right? And this is the employee ID. It refers to employee table. Assigned date, that means when the task was assigned, this date will be by default get date. So when it is created, it will take automatic system date. Task status, we are assuming What is the task status? That means it is completed, pending, processed, all that. There might be some task, my master table in future if you need. But here I am assuming that we are directly giving the task status and completion date. When the task is completed, employee will log in into application and update the completion date with the task status. So here I am creating this table, right? Employee task. So this one is created, right? Select asterisk from this. Now I'm just keeping it somewhere. Now let us analyze all these tables once again, one by one, right? You see. So first table that we have created is department. Initially, Escon Info System has department. So department table is created and company has some task. Company has some task to assign. So company has tasks. So there is a table where every month there might be some tasks. You can add some more fields, attribute, whatever, task ID, task name, right? Initial task date, when it was started, everything. There might be other columns as per the requirement. Who has created this task, when it was created. There can be number of columns over here. Again, we have employee table. So employee ID, name, location, salary, and this employee is working in this department. So we can see using join how these are associated with which department, right? Now, if we want to see employee task, so it is having no record inside this. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to insert record in the task table. So for this, I will be keeping an eye on this because these values should be matched there, right? So I will give insert into employee task. These values should match, right? So first column that we have MP task ID that is auto generated, but rest if we see task ID, imply all that. So we can give it as task ID, employee ID, then assign date need not to be given because this assign date we have assumed to default date. So this not to be input and we can give task status and completion date. So by default we will be passing null value for this because at the time of assigning the completion date will not be there. So we what we could do, we could give some default value to this, otherwise we will have to insert null value, right? So values here. So now the important thing comes. See, task ID. That means I want this task ID to assign Rama, right? So what is the task ID? Task ID is 1, that I am giving 1. To which imply I want to assign this task. I want to assign this task to Rama. So I will give the employee ID as employee ID of Rama over here, right? So this one is there. Next, what is task status? So by default, the task status will be not available. So not I am giving as NA, not applicable. And just for the completion date, I am passing the null value because still we don't know. So if we insert this record, we can see, right? So if we see carefully, What is the employee ID? Employee ID 1, that means Rama, right? And task ID is 1. So if we see the task ID, right? So task ID. So if we run this and this as of now, correct? If we this use this and this, so you can see if I run all this all together, see task ID is 1. So task ID 1 means meet the AI team and submit report. This task is assigned to employee ID 1. That means employee ID 1 is drama and assigned it. So this is get date by default. So it is taking and intentionally I have given it as task status is NA. That is not applicable as of now because it is assigned as of now. So as I'm telling you, so there can be number of columns and we can normalize these tables further if there are other tables as well. So depends on requirement. So my requirement was this. Now let us insert some more dummy records like this. So we have another task. We have another task that is task 2, right? Task 2 and to whom we want to assign this task. So I want to assign this task to Jane, right? So Jane, what is the employee ID of Jane? Employee ID of Jane is 2, right? And similarly, task status is not applicable and completion date I am passing null because still we are in creation phase. Now we have another task. So what task we have? Suppose we have task 4, right? So we have task 4 and to whom we want to assign this task. So suppose I want to assign this task to Rama. So I will give this employee ID as 1, correct? Now see this task ID is 1. So task ID is 1 that is already assigned. So what we can do, we can see for this task ID is 3 and this task we want to assign to Ajay. Okay, that is so here we have inserted one record. So now rest of the records we are inserting. See, so if we analyze all these all together, see here carefully this, correct? So here we see task ID is 1, that is this meet the air team. Who is handling employee ID 1? Who is employee? This employee for this employee ID 1 Rama. That means Rama is assigned this task. So on the basis of requirement, what kind of report we are required, we can create the report as well, right? So that is very helpful. Thanks for watching. I will be creating another video based on reports for this case study that will be helpful. Till then, thank you. Bye bye.